Good evening, welcome. Purim is in a week in most places, and we're going to use the opportunity to do a refresher on the halachas, the laws, and the customs in connection with Purim. The Shabbos before Purim is called Shabbos Zocher, Parshas Zocher, where we read about Amalek. It's a mitzvah, a biblical command according to most opinions. According to the Alter Rebbe, it's a biblical command to hear the reading of Parshas Zocher, where we speak about what Amalek tried to do and the importance of remembering what they did and wiping them out. There's a question and a debate in Pesachim if women are mechuyev to hear, are they required to hear Parshas Zocher as well? And the answer is that they're not, although many women do go to hear Parshas Zocher. Most Chassidish sources say that they're not mechuyev in listening to it. The Rebbe brings that lately, or in recent times, women are going to shul to hear Parshas Zocher, which is a statement of reality. Does not mean that it's a chiyuv, they have to go. But men have to hear deiraisa, biblically, the reading of Parshas Zocher. That is the Shabbos before. If someone was not able to hear Parshas Zocher for whatever reason, he missed it, then the reading of the Torah on Shachris, on Purim, where we speak about Amalek as well, you could be Yetze, you could fulfill the requirement. If you didn't do it in Shabbos Zocher, Parshas Zocher, you could hear it and fulfill the requirement on Purim itself when the Torah is read. Let's cover some of the halachas of Taanis Esther as we get close to the day of Purim itself. Taanis Esther this year is Monday, and the fast begins from the morning. We have two fasts throughout the year, Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, that start the night before, but all other fast days begin in the morning. And if somebody goes to sleep and they want to eat when they wake up, they want to get up before the fast starts, you must make a condition, preferably verbally, but at least in your mind. You have intention that you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to eat before the fast actually starts. In Chicago, the fast starts 5:45 on Monday morning this year. And if you want to eat before then, you should, again, make the condition before. In Shul, we read the Torah on a fast day. It's Monday anyway, so we read it by Shachris and then again by Mincha. And we have Slichas that are added by Shachris, Avinu Malkeinu that's added by Shachris, Aneinu for the Chazan, by Mincha everyone else adds it, various tefillos and prayers that we say on a fast day. Before Mincha, we have what's called Machzis HaShekel. That's the requirement to give a half a shekel. The reason for this and the background of this goes back to the times of the Beis HaMikdash, and even before then. Torah tells us about giving a Machzis HaShekel, a half a shekel, towards contributions to the Mishkan, to the tabernacle that was in the desert. 3 times, Torah uses the term Truma, which teaches us that you have 3 coins that you use. Now, it has to be a half a coin, but we do it with 3 half coins. It does not have to be real silver. Some people have that and they use it and it's great, but it does have to be a half a coin of the currency where you live. You can't take 2 quarters and say that's 50 cents. You have to use a half a dollar. Now, who's required in doing Machzis HaShekel? So originally, when the mitzvah was given, it was for people over the age of 20 and up. So Pesachim argue who has, today when we do it, and it's only a custom, who needs to do it? And the accepted custom is that from bar mitzvah and on, because it's a minig, although the source of it is from a mitzvah which started at 20, from a mitzvah and on, you need to do it. What about children, women and children? So it's accepted that the husband, the father, gives for them, although he doesn't have to. If he does, then he must continue giving it until they start giving it on their own. You can't decide 1 year I'll give for them, 1 year I won't give for them. The Chabad custom is basically that we give for everyone in the family the Machzis HaShekel until they start giving it on their own. Who do you give it to? Great question. So the Machzis HaShekel in Shul, we have, in most Shuls, they have the coins available. You buy the coin from the Shul by paying for it into the pot, and the money, the proceeds, should go preferably to a Shul. It's like a Mishkan, the Mikdash Ma'at, it's a mini Mishkan, it should go towards the Shul itself. We'll speak soon about Matanas Levyenim, which just has to go to poor people. But Machzis HaShekel should go to the Shul. That is done on Tanis Esther. If someone was not able to, didn't manage, then you do it at least before reading of the Megillah, and even on Purim itself, but you should make sure to give Machzis Hashem. Now, when it comes to Purim, we have several mitzvahs which are very important. And the first mitzvah of Purim is reading of the Megillah. Now, Purim begins at nightfall, like every Yontif that we have. And it's customary to come to shul wearing Shabbos clothing in honor of Purim. Today, everyone's wearing costumes already, but technically speaking, the costumes should be put on after Ma'ariv, probably after the Megillah. But it's okay if you want to wear it earlier, it's accepted and it's fine. But you should be wearing Shabbos clothing for Purim. In Ma'ariv, we add Ala Nisim, which is the special addition, thanking Hashem for the miracles in connection with Purim. And that's done in Ma'ariv, in Shachris and Mincha the next day. And when you wash and eat, in the benching, you also say Ala Nisim. If someone forgot Ala Nisim, you don't go back, you don't repeat the Shemona Esrei if you missed Ala Nisim. Megillah. We're required to hear the Megillah twice, by night and by day. And this is something which is a requirement for men and for women. So I want to show them better to do it outside. Thank you. The reading of the Megillah is a mitzvah both for men and for women to hear the Megillah. If you're not reading it yourself, it's just as good to hear it from someone else. The halacha is, Shemea Ka'ina, if you hear it's like you're answering, just like Kiddush. If you heard Kiddush, it's as if you made Kiddush. If you heard the Megillah, it's as if you made, as if you read the Megillah and your gates. You have to hear every single word. And it has to be read from a kosher Megillah. Now, if you're following along in a Chumash, you don't have your own Megillah, or you don't have a kosher Megillah, so don't read along with the reader. But if you miss a word, you didn't hear what he said, then you could say it from the Chumash, that one word or two words. But it has to be in the correct order. Because the Megillah has to be read consecutively. You can't, I missed the word Haman one time, I'll say it now. You have to do it consecutively. And you cannot speak and hear at the same time, or speak and listen at the same time. So therefore, you should not verbalize the words if you're listening to the Al-Qaeda. It's also disturbing to others. You're going to be reading out loud or under your breath, and others are listening. Even if you have a kosher Megillah, you should not say it too loud, because those around you can't hear from the reader of the Megillah. And we have a principle, Terei Kaidi Le Mishtame. Two sounds are not heard at the same time, effectively and appropriately. On Purim, of course, it's a Yontif, we don't say Tachnun, and therefore the Mincha before, which is Tainus Esther, we won't say Tachnun, we don't say Vina Malkeinu then, either, even though it's a fast. Now, our custom is that we make noise, only when Haman is mentioned with a title. There's certain times in the Megillah where it says Haman, and there are other times where it says Haman HaGogi, Haman HaRasha, and so on. Only the times when we add to Haman's name, that's when we say, that's when we make noise and so on. There are those that say that the Rebbe stamped his foot, at least lightly, every time Haman was mentioned. But the minhag is you do it with, when there's a add-on to Haman's name, that's when we make the noise and so on. Now, the Megillah is read with three brachas before, three blessings they say before, and we have to hear those brachas. We don't say Baruch Hu, Baruch Shmei, we only say Amen. And the one that makes the brachas, the reader, has in mind to be made to everyone else. The first bracha is for the Megillah, the second one is for the miracles, and the third one is Shechiyanu, that we have reached this milestone to be able to do the special mitzvah of Megillah. The other three mitzvahs of Purim are Shalach Manas, Matanas Levyanim, and Sudas Purim. Let's talk a little bit about these halachas. First of all, it has to be done by day. You cannot give Shalach Manas at night. You could, but you're not fulfilling the mitzvah. And you have to hear the Megillah again by day. And the same thing is Matanas Levyanim, it has to be done during the day, and the Suda of Purim also during the day. Now, what is Shalach Manas? Shalach Manas is 2 items of food. It doesn't have to be 2 different brachas, as is commonly misunderstood. It has to be 2 types of food. You could give two fruits, for different fruits, to at least one person. And these two items to one person is fulfilling the mitzvah of Shalach Manas. It has to be done on Purim. You can't meet someone 2 days before and say, oh, by the way, this is for you for Purim. You're not fulfilling the mitzvah. And if you have any of these programs where it's great fundraisers, where people chip in and a school or an organization will give out Shalach Manas on your behalf, make sure that it's done on Purim. Maybe they're starting Tainus Esther. They have a lot of deliveries. Maybe the night before they're giving it. It has to be on Purim itself. So if you're doing that, make sure you give Shalach Manas on your own to somebody.
Is it allowed to be water?
Yes, it could be water. It has to,
They need to give it after you make the brachas?
No, it's interesting. When we say Shechiyanu, we have a mind for Shalach Manas, but it doesn't have to be after. It's a good thing, but it's not. You don't have to have Shechiyanu for the Shalach Manas per se. We have a mind. It's for the mitzvahs of Purim as a general
They
thing.
can give it for you at 9 o'clock and you give them at 10 o'clock. It's fine.
Yeah. First of all, the giving, not the receiving. The giving is the mitzvah.
I'm talking
But,
about giving.
Yeah, you don't have to.
They give it at Shlach Manas at 9 again. You heard the Megillah.
You're Yetza even without Shechiyanu, without the bracha already. It's fine.
So Rabbi, my time is fine too.
No, it has to be by day. We hear Megillah at night and then by day, but Shalach Manas must be by day. The Rabbeim were careful to do, or careful. The Rabbeim will give Shalach Manas of food and a drink. So the halacha has to be two different items to be the same bracha, but the Rabbeim gave like mashka and something with it, or a drink and a food. The food that you give has to be edible without preparation. So if it's food that requires cooking in order to eat it, or baking or whatever else, you don't fulfill the mitzvah with that. And it has to be a normal amount of food, at least a kazayas, okay? Which is another issue. If you're giving it as a group, you have to make sure that each person is giving one kazayas of at least two types of food. Which again, I think the Shalach Manas are large, but you got to make sure. A man gives to a man and a woman gives to a woman for Shalach Manas. When it comes to Matanas Lavyanim, which is the other mitzvah, then you have to give at least one coin or one monetary gift to two people. Okay, so one to one and one to another.
This is on Purim too?
On Purim day.
This is all 3 mitzvahs on
Yeah,
Purim day.
Four mitzvahs. And it has to be during the day and to a poor person. Now, it's nice to give to organizations tzedakah. I highly recommend it. But to fulfill the mitzvah on Tanas Lav Yonim, it has to be given to poor people. Now, many organizations, and F.R.E.E. as well, Shul as well, gives money to the poor, and they do it on your behalf on Purim if you like. But make sure, don't mistake it and say, I gave to some school or something. Make sure that they're giving it to poor people on your behalf. It's very important. And at least to two people. And regarding tzedakah, you don't have the restriction of man to a man, woman to a woman. If you know a poor woman, you can give her money. If a woman knows a poor man, she can give him money. But it must be given on Purim day. Halacha tells us that if a person live in a place where there's no poor people, like Chicago, there's no poor people, then you put the money aside and you give it to a poor person when you have the ability to do so. Yes.
Does it have to be a
Because
Jewish?
you set aside the money.
Does it have to be a Jewish person you're giving it to?
The mitzvah of Tanas Lav Yonim is
I mean,
Is there
so
you should help everybody, but for the mitzvah of
Yeah,
Tanas Lav
that's
Yonim, it
right.
has to be to you.
a certain recommended amount?
So
The better, the more the better. Yeah, well, it has to be at least Shalom Pruta, which today is probably 9 cents or so. But you should give something. It says people make the mistake and they think the most important thing is Shalach Manas. They put in so much effort and they're very creative, and everyone tries to outdo the other. It's a beautiful thing. And bringing gifts of food to friends is part of the enactment of Purim. But don't undermine the importance of giving monetary assistance, money, to the poor on Purim. Sudas Purim. The fourth mitzvah of Purim is to have a meal, and this meal has to be done during the day. At least majority of your meal should be during the daytime. Now at night we eat as well. It's a yontif, and you should have a table set, and you should have candles lit. But the main mitzvah of Sudas Purim, that's during the day. And you have to wash, have bread. It's appropriate to have fleishiks for the Sudah of Purim. it says that you should not do melacha. Don't do work on Purim. Now, to clarify, it's not Shabbos, it's not Yontif. You could do work on Purim, but work which is not your own stuff to take care of, which takes you away from the spirit of Purim because you're involved, you're occupied, and so on. You shouldn't do. You should try to avoid going to work on Purim. If you have to, you're allowed to, but it says that you'll not see a success, a blessing in the work that you've done on Purim. If you could avoid it, stay away from it. In certain cases, a person can't. So it is allowed. Okay. Any questions? Okay, we can talk about Ad Yada. On Purim, it's a mitzvah to say the Chaim to the extent that you don't know you can't differentiate between Baruch Haman, Baruch Mordechai, and Ar Haman, and which represents the month before, which represents that Mordechai is blessed and Haman is cursed. Now, some people try to fulfill it through sleeping. When they're asleep, they don't know the difference between the two. But the Rebbe has a decree, a gzeira, that under the age of 40, you shouldn't drink more than 4 l'chaim, which basically means you can't get drunk. Certain years, the Rebbe said that it's Purim, it doesn't apply. Other years, the Rebbe did not say that. The Rebbe did say at least one person should be appointed to fulfill this mitzvah for the community. So you find someone that is able to have the mashke, have the alcohol, and reach that level. But the point is that the joy is so great and so strong that you can't even tell the difference between Haman and Mordechai. Happy Purim.
Sure, you're Yotzi on that person.
What?
Everybody's automatically Yotzi on that person. We have to keep you in line. But it'll be too drunk to know.
There's no mind, right?
How do you say it though? You said